Voila, and there we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to InHouse-CON. I'm so glad that you could join us this week. My name is Derek Mackey. I'm the president of Cool Waters Productions. For those of you who don't know what we do, we're an appearance management company. We take our wonderful clients all around the world to meet fans just like you who are watching today, face-to-face at conventions and meet and greets and things like that. And of course, because of COVID-19 right now, we are unable to do that. So we decided to bring our celebrities to you, and that's what you're watching today is InHouse-CON. We thank you so much for joining us. We've got some great events coming up all through September and October, including we have V, we have the voice of the Peanuts characters, we have a Christmas story, lots of things. So make sure you check out our website and learn which dates are going to have which events, okay? All right, I have to do my special shout outs for today. We want to thank Nerd Alert News. We want to thank Brian Garner at Be More Super Podcast. We want to thank my friend Steve at Beckett Media. And of course, we want to thank Comic Con Network. They do a lot of pushing for us. And finally, for this week, Hellboy Source, who has been an amazing help in getting the word out about our event. I want to let all of you viewers know that the way that we run InHouse-CON on Zoom is two things you need to know. The first one is there are two areas where fans can send in or chat with each other or with us. Here's the thing, the celebrities today, they will not be chatting with you in the chat room. The chat room in Zoom is only for the fans. That's so that you guys can interact with each other while you're watching the show. If you would like to submit a question to one of our two guests today, you're going to go to the Q&A room. That's a button on Zoom that says Q&A. In there, you type in your question, and at some point during the live show, when we switch over to those questions, I'll ask the questions live on the air, and the celebrity in question will answer your question live on the air. Okay? If you have any questions regarding how that works, my tech guy Tyler is in the chat room. You can chat with him. Also, we recommend, if you're watching this on a computer or a laptop, like sort of thing in your home, that you choose gallery view, because if you choose speaker view, you're only going to be able to see the person who's talking. Now, I'm sorry to tell you guys who have smartphones or tablets, those are restricted. Zoom only allows you to watch it in speaker form, which means you will only be able to see whoever's speaking. But I've asked our guests today to keep crossover talk minimal so that if someone is answering a question, they are the people that you see. But don't forget, our event is meant to be very carefree, very open, and very easy. So some crossover talking is going to happen. We just invite you guys to sit back and enjoy, okay? I am so thrilled today that our guests, for the guests that we have, I've been waiting for this day, and I'm jazzed. I'm jazzed. So I'm going to show you guys the Hellboy 2 trailer. We always do that just so that we get re-familiar with who we're watching. And usually after we see the trailer, I can't wait to see the movie again. And I'm sure you guys will all feel the same way. Oh, and I have a note here. I have to remember my lovely mother who is watching right now. She watches every week. Today is her birthday, August 30th. So I have to wish my mom and niece the best birthday ever. Mwah. All right, guys, let's watch the trailer, and then we'll be back with our guests. Here we go.
Now for our next item, the Royal Crown of Bethmora, a piece from a long-lost culture.
Lost? Not at all. Very much alive. And I am here to reclaim what is rightfully mine.
Call security!
When our world is threatened,
I have returned to wage war. Reclaim our land.
by forces beyond our understanding. Our government turns to an elite, top-secret organization.
We're moving up.
We had over 70 guests reported. We have no survivors.
Same story here, babe.
Don't call me babe.
Hey, I said, Hey,
Red, we have company.
I have a suspect.
The Royal Seal.
I'm Princess Mignola. My father died to uphold the truce with your world.
I will call upon the help of all the children of the earth. The good. The bad.
give it up, Nasty, we can see it.
See me? How? How do you see me?
And the worst.
The Golden Army, the unstoppable force.
Oh, crap.
Kill them.
Wouldn't do that if I were you. They're afraid of you.
You have more in common with us than with them, demon.
Excuse me. Make the choice. You woke up the baby.
Oh my God, every week I want to go and run and watch the movie, but we can't do that because we have to bring on our special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased to welcome Miss Selma Blair and Mr. Doug Jones. Hello, Selma, how are you?
I'm really well. I love seeing that. It's been too long since I've seen that trailer.
And Doug, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Yeah, watching the trailer was like, that's a movie I want to see. Oh, yeah, you're right, I was in it.
Where are you guys calling in from today?
Doug.
Well, I'm home in Los Angeles today.
And I'm in Doug's other home in Los Angeles. I'm home also in Los Angeles.
Excellent. Well, thank you for taking time out during your very, very busy COVID-19 schedule to be with us today. I appreciate it. Well, before we get to fan questions, I always start things off with questions for each of our, or all of our guests, and then I've got some individual questions for you guys. Don't feel any pressure. It's all spontaneous. We just want you to be thinking off of your feet, okay? So I'll start with questions for both of you, and Doug, I'm going to have you go first on the question, okay? So
Okay.
I want to know how you guys got into acting, and if you were not an actor, what would you be?
Well, I got into acting. It was a lifelong dream since I was a kid, watching sitcoms and goofy people on like Jerry Lewis and, Gomer Pyle, Gilligan's Island. Those early sitcoms are what inspired me, and the variety shows, Carol Burnett show, all that. So I knew I wanted to put my goofiness to work on film. So getting into it, then coming to Los Angeles in 1985, to work at a bank, which lasted 8 months, and then they fired me, which they should have. And that gave me the free time to pursue acting. So I took a TV commercial acting class, and I got my agent from that class. So it was the commercial world. And one of my first commercial gigs was the Mac Tonight Moonhead character that sang at a piano, "When the clock strikes, hey!" And that was what marked me as tall, skinny, goofy guy who moves well, wears a lot of crap on his face, and doesn't complain about it. And that's when that reputation started rolling throughout the creature effects community. So that's my story. And what if I wasn't an actor? I think I would have become a nurse, believe it or not. So there's something about the hands-on healing arts and that even more than a doctor. Doctors have less patient interaction than the nurses do, and I guess that's why I was kind of drawn to that. If the acting gig never worked out.
Wonderful. How about you, Selma?
Well, there's still time for you, Doug. You can.
Okay.
I'll give you a job. No, I got into. I wasn't really allowed to think of acting so much because just education, traditional education was the focus in my home. So it wasn't until I graduated from the University of Michigan that, I had my mother and father's blessing to do what I wanted as they cut the purse strings if I weren't going to continue education. So I tried to play it that I was continuing acting education in New York, and they bought it for a little bit, and Dad helped out. But I was discovered in an acting workshop at the Column Theater and Studio by an agent named Jana Kogan Barth, who had discovered Natalie Portman and some other great people, and it was like that teen craze had hit. It was before Cruel Intentions and all that, and I was in my really early 20s, but I wasn't a teen. But I had that look, so I kind of got to break into it that way. And I didn't know if I'd be a photographer or acting going to New York. It was kind of a toss-up. I studied both in college and in boarding school. And I guess if I weren't an actress, which I'm also kind of like facing now, what else can I do? What else do I love? And I would have loved to have been a writer if I would have been more disciplined with that, and there's still time. And I would also, being a doctor was also something that I really, really, really thought about, but gross anatomy was really gross. Like I'm fine with a real body and doing things, but something about the whole embalming and preserving, I just couldn't reconcile that in my young brain. But I could handle it now, but no one would want me to be their doctor, as they would all outlive me, as I'm now a little long in the tooth.
Well, I think it would still be pretty interesting to have the Blair Jones office. You could be the doctor, Doug would be the nurse. It would be the best place to go.
Yeah, for like one or two people, sure, it would be perfect. No,
I think that's a better formula for a sitcom than a doctor's office, really, I think.
So Selma, with that being said, I always do a little bit of research for all of my in-house cons, and I love doing the research because even though I feel that I'm close and I know a lot about my clients, I still learn things about them that I never knew. And one of them is about what I'm about to ask you, because it leads from where you just discussed. I read, and correct if it's wrong, that your mom was a judge and your dad was a lawyer. So if that was the case, when you said they cut the purse strings and let you chase your dream, was there ever a point where they went, oh, no, you're going to be in law, you're going to be in some sort of public defending thing, and how did that all pan out?
No, I was really lucky that I was the fourth girl in the family, so everything is just kind of like catch as you can. By the time I came around, my oldest sister Marie, who's 12 years older, she is a lawyer. She was a public defender, really went that route. And then my other sister went into book publishing in New York, and my other sister became a cop, and now she's a chatelaine. I mean, now she's really a mom and a wife and does things, but she was a police officer in Detroit for a long time. And so there was no real plan. My mother really just wanted to make sure that I would have financial stability in my life. Because I think she was worried I wasn't that stable. So she was like, this is scary, don't do that. But it was, no, I was lucky. I had it was pretty open, like, this is your life. But I don't know how serious, I don't know how much they ever did watch my career, but my mother was so entranced by the Hellboy movies, because they're so spectacular. I mean, no one can deny that finally I was in a major motion picture by major brains with major talent. So this is kind of the movie where I feel like, guys, come on, I did it.
Exactly. Oh, wow. That's the perfect segue to my next question for both of you, specifically with Hellboy and the person who helmed it, of course, Guillermo del Toro, who is, I think, by far one of the best directors in a very, very, very long time. I'd like to know, and this is just a very general question, do either of you have your favorite Del Toro story? It could be something personal, it could be something that happened on set, it could be something you weren't even involved with, maybe another project of his that you saw and loved. Doug, I know you're like his golden boy, so why don't you start us off?
I don't know how golden but no, I have so many Guillermo moments, and he's so good for, I mean, Selma knows this, he's so good for like funny off the cuff quips. He's always got a funny comeback or a funny analogy to make. But I love his directing style is so minimal with me. Now, he directs each one of us differently according to our personalities, and he knows that if he can get me to chuckle, then I'll follow his direction. So in Hellboy 2, I was wearing the goggles and the respirator thing, and I wanted to get those off of me so I could impress the princess more when I was kind of falling for her, and we were keeping her in our safely in the BPRD headquarters. And so there was a scene where it showed my transition, where I was putting my contact lenses in so I could get rid of the goggles, and I was spritzing my little like an inhaler kind of a thing on my gills. And it was one long tracking shot that Guillermo, he wasn't going to cut away to anything. So he had to have all this action happening while the camera circled around me. And so I went through take one, I went through everything. I did, did the thing, I got the thing and then the thing. And by the time we got done, no dialogue, he had nothing to cut away from. He said, "Cut, doggy, you're boring me to tears." That's all he said. So I knew what he meant, and take two was what he wanted. So I love him so much. Good gosh.
I mean, Doug, you have such a shorthand with him by now. Obviously, you're pretty much been in his brain in such an extreme way. And in my experience, I was such a different kind of tool in Guillermo's world, but his personal way of being with me, someone I still, of course, rely on, because I feel he is just such a brave, generous, kind of enlightened, creative, amazing, strong thinker. And he's always really a father figure to me. Like, I can really call him, email him, he shows up. So my things are so personal, because I was really, not, my character was not as involved in a way, but I'm never not amazed at his willingness to keep expanding and learning, and he is obviously so brilliant. So, but no, he made fun of me a lot, and in a cute way. It was never, it was sweet, because I've always been a little like distracted, and one of my eyes goes one direction and another goes another when I'm tired. And there was a close up in Hellboy 1 when after we had like kissed and it backed away and my eyes couldn't catch up. I have a lazy eye, and so I was like different directions, and he's like, monkey brain, fix your eyeballs. Close up, fix your eyeballs. So I think of that because he's the only person that ever really called me out on it. And of course, because he's so specific, he could spot, an eyeball drift from scenes away in a monitor. It's amazing. Trevor, there is the eyeball drift in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We have to go back and watch for that now. I love it. Okay, so Selma might have actually just answered this next question, but maybe not. I want to know what the hardest part of acting is for each of you. And we know, obviously, Selma, it's keeping your lazy eye in check.
I didn't know it'd be just the beginning of all the lazy things on me. I'm going to build a whole career of lazy body parts. It's going to be my signature. Doug is like going to, always going to be like the king, body movement. And I will be the lazy movement with an attitude. And I hope we can discover that in some way together. Sorry I interrupted. Sorry.
It's good. I
I
want to know, aside from your lazy eye having to be in check, what is the hardest part of acting for you?
Staying awake. It's fucking hard. Like, those are long days. Now I can like give it a little excuse because I really do have fatigue issues, and like, but it's always been a deal. Like, being on a set, like, because you really would want to bring your A game when it's shooting, but like, I have like one A moment a day, and by the time we shoot, I've usually really lost it, and I never knew how to act well enough to act like I had an A game. Whew, I have so much to learn in this business. I can't wait to shoot something again and really learn how to stay awake at the end of the day. It's hard, Doug.
No,
right? Your days are so way longer. You might not have this problem, but I'm like narcoleptic. And those night shoots on Hellboy, I'm like,
yeah.
You walk across this incredible fairyland and then go over to like a beanbag chair and like you're in REM state. Like, I don't know. I didn't really ever like go to sleep or wake up on those. But we were younger. I could do it, right?
Right. Well, I sleep between every take. Yeah. Because my hours were incredible.
You're like you're a glutton for punishment. You're crazy, but
I'm
it's
missing
like
4 hours
thank
a night.
God you're crazy because you're so
The
gifted.
hardest thing for me with acting is not what you would think. It's I mean, the makeup process and then the hours and the physicality and the utter physical exhaustion I go through is one thing. But for me, the hardest, if I have paragraphs of dialogue, to this day, it terrifies me. No matter, especially now that I'm on a show like Star Trek Discovery, where you've got like science fiction dialogue and, you know, terminology and language and phrasing that is like, to memorize that is just like, that's like studying for final exams every day of my adult life. And that's the challenge for me.
And you know what's interesting, Doug, and this is why I love you as a person, as an actor. A couple weeks ago, we had our second Star Trek event where we had Star Trek people on, and you made a very brief appearance at the beginning. And when you left, I told the story to everyone. And as Selma, I don't know if you know this, maybe you do, but my favorite story that I tell everybody about Doug to show what an actual incredible actor you are. And some of your Star Trek Discovery people didn't know this, and they commented a couple weeks ago on it. I tell everyone I know that when Doug did Pan's Labyrinth, which is my favorite film, Guillermo told him that he could count to 10 and he would just dub over and it didn't matter. And Doug told Guillermo, no, you can't make an artistic film like this and have my mouth not match what the character's saying. So Doug had them prepare a script in English and Spanish and learned everything in Spanish so that when he's on screen, even though he was dubbed for nuances in the Spanish language, it is still Doug articulating. So he did exactly what he said the hardest thing is, to learn these groups of dialogue in a different language and then do the performance. And Doug, everybody I tell that to thinks you should win an Oscar. It's an incredible feat. My precious Selma came to the premiere of Pan's Labyrinth, and I remember seeing it at the after party, and like I was just so happy you were there. And I have another Selma story, about dialogue. It does not seem to be a problem for you. You're the one who you read books between shots while they're saying. I don't know how you can fill your mind with all the words in a novel and then go, oh, we're on, okay, and you go and you deliver monologues that it's fascinating to watch. I can't do it. I have to monofocus.
If I didn't keep my brain active reading something, I don't generate my own momentum. I never did. Like I would just, the energy would be so low if I didn't stay engaged. I just check out and fall asleep.
And that's the sleeping part. Okay.
Yeah, because that's just always how I've been. I'm not even talking about some current state of whatever being older. Yeah. Like that's just my jam by accident. So I have to stay engaged. But you know, on Hellboy might not have had as many lines, but what Doug does, it's just, I'm so grateful that Guillermo discovered you in addition to so many other people, of course, but because what you did, no one else could do. Like this Doug partnership with Guillermo and really anyone, because he gives to every single project is a real lifeline for me. Every day with everything I do, whatever, as a mother, whatever, I think Doug's given more. Nope. Doug's given more with everything. And I don't mean it as any comparison. It's like, I really think you've made such an impression on me, such an imprint on giving and kindness. And I see it with the fans and how much it really, really means to you and them. And when we do a Comic-Con in the past or something, and this didn't hurt my feelings at all, but there'd be my section and there'd be a couple people like straggling over, and it was always lovely. It didn't matter. At first I was a little like, but Doug's just down around the corner. And I love that love is recognized and commitment and discipline to bring the stories of these great creators like Guillermo to the great fans like you. Like, I really love being associated with Doug so that some of his work ethic appears to rub off on me.
Yeah. Can I share another Selma moment that I love from Hellboy 1? It's one of my favorite moments from that entire movie. When we were working, we didn't have as much screen time together in Hellboy 1 as we did in Hellboy 2, but in the first one, it was when I had been injured and I was in my healing tank, floating upside down, and Selma was outside the glass getting advice on what should she do about her decision to stay or go from the BPRD. And Hellboy and her were having their relationship romantic issues, and she was coming to me for advice while I was playing with a Rubik's Cube. Now, I wasn't floating upside down. I was hanging upside down from a hip harness that was burrowing into my hip bones, and I was in excruciating pain, upside down, blood flowing to my head. I was not in water. There was water in the glass, but I was in a hanging in a basic room. And it was also my birthday. It was my 43rd birthday. And Selma on the outside of the glass, I'm looking at you upside down through my little peepholes. And all I saw, and she just looked at me, and I couldn't hear her because we were through a sheet of glass, and she just went. She mouthed happy birthday, and it was the most comforting. I was in hell that day, and that was the most comforting little isolated moment where she just tilted her head, and I felt all the empathy in the world, and that got me through. That got me through that scene. Thank you again.
Thank you. I love the image of that scene. I really do.
I mean, it's gorgeous now. Yeah.
I mean, it's so gorgeous.
And our hands together on the glass, right? Yeah, yeah.
That's really memorable to me.
You know, Selma, Margot Kidder used to read books in between takes. And because same thing, she had to keep herself going. And she used to tell me Chris Reeve used to get mad at her because he's like, focus. And she's like, shut up.
Right. This is how I stay in line. Yeah. She really was an incredible actress. I just, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's all good. So I want to know, now you guys have both done television and film. Do you have a preference, and what is the biggest difference for you to prepare to bring your character to life?
Well, you know, I think I like the pacing and the bookending of a feature film. I appreciate that a lot, that you have the whole script in front of you, you know where it's going and how it's going to end. Series television goes on and on and on, and it's much longer of a commitment, and it's a much faster pace when you're in it. So you just finished 1 hour and you've got the next script coming, and you're like, I gotta by tomorrow. So that's the pace is more anxiety riddled for me in television, and I just enjoy the feature film. Let's tell this one story, and then I can move on to the next thing. You know.
Gotcha. Selma?
Yeah, I loved that too. I mean, I always thought it was the most ideal job, especially when I was younger, going away to a film set, because it was so all-encompassing. I'm not a real multitasker other than reading when I should be preparing my lines. But life, you know, like it gave a real getaway, a real context to your life. You know your hotel room, you know where you eat, you know when you go to work, this is what you do. And then I had a kid, and it put the wrenched all that apart. But it's a really great selfish, useful way to live if you can compartmentalize creativity in that way. And watching the people, I was always more of a witness, I felt, on all these sets, and I loved it. It was just had a beginning, middle, and end. Some were more successful, but they were real experiences. And you don't have it as much with TV. I'm very limited in what I've done with TV, but I have done some series of my own, and you know, you're in your own life still. So it's just more stimulus to deal with. Like Doug said, you know, you just get more coming at you. It's longer, and you still, you know, unless you're away on location, you still have to live your life. So TV's hard and good.
Gotcha.
I mean, I wouldn't know. I'm not working. What do I know?
No, that's a perfect answer. And actually, I love the segues. You guys are making them easy for me. Selma, you're talking about life. I want to know about what is the best part of being a mom?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm so sappy about my kid that I have to temper it with being kind of like an asshole, because it makes me feel like a cool mom. No, because I'm so in love with my kid, who's like kind of punk. The best part of being a mom, I really thought about that today, is it's been really hard for me. I'm not really a natural full-time maternal person. I can whip it out. I can do the right thing, get people safe, point A to B, but like not every day. And this is like a full-time commitment. It's like being a house guest. I'm really good about saying what I don't like first, and then I try and find something I like. It's like having a roommate that you're totally not matched up well with. Like, who knew I'd have a 9-year-old roommate that plays video games and farts after I tell him I love him? And like, it's like, It's just a lot for me. So the best thing would be like when he goes to dad's, or I'm just kidding. We joke with each other all the time. So he's really my favorite person to spend time with, even when he makes me crazy. And he's broadened my horizons to realizing I have to change everything about myself to be a good mother. Yeah.
You're a good 100% beyond the shadow of a doubt, because it's no matter what, whether you feel it is or not, it's in you. That's how I feel about my mom. She's the best mom in the world. And I know your son's going to feel the same way. So
thank you. I mean, I truly love him. I love him too sappily much. So I have to make fun of it. But being the best thing is that I know for right now and maybe many years, I'm his person. And I take that. And so is his father. Thank God. But like, I'm really his mom still. I'm really his person, the main emotional source. And that is really gratifying. And I'm really, really respectful of that responsibility.
Wonderful. Thank you, Selma. Okay, this is another question for both of you. Where is the best place you've ever filmed anything and that you would just die to go back?
I can answer that right away. Paris, France.
Ugh.
I did a movie for the French cinema called Gainsbourg, A Heroic Life, or Gainsbourg, Vie Héroïque. Don't judge me on my French. And it was the same situation. I did the whole movie in the French language as the alter ego of singer-songwriter Serge Gainsbourg. It was a story about his life. He's a very iconic French figure. And so living and working in Paris for 4 months, this back in 2009, and was just glorious. It was the most opulent, luxurious film shoot I've ever been on in my life. I lived in the Hotel du Louvre, which was right across the street from the Louvre Museum. My window looked into the 15th century sculpture room, and I was like, so it's truly the city of light. I love it, love it, love it. It's so romantic there.
I haven't, kind of the most exotic locations I've shot in were, really Budapest and Prague, which were incredible, and we were there for a while. But I've done photo shoots and had other little jobs. And Paris, I have to say, there'd be intimidating moments for me in the beginning, but once you get in a groove in Paris and find someone to show you something in the shoots, and just the quality of kind of a beautiful day in Paris or Italy, where some things it's like, wow, people really have these days. They're just so charming and amazing to me. I love it so much. I think my dream would be to shoot in Israel. Like, that's just always been a dream, just a place I'd love to spend more time. I love it there. For some reason, it really calls to me, but yeah.
Well, Selma has an issue that I don't have to deal with, and this is when the paparazzi loves you, and when, oh bless, I remember we were shooting in Budapest, Hungary. That's where we did Hellboy 2, and you were out walking your cute little dog Wink, and you hadn't prepared for the day. You were just like out from the hotel, kind of walking. You might have had a cigarette and your sunglasses on.
Sure, I mean, really all bad. I probably had.
That's when. Did you say some creep on a bike came up and started clicking pictures and like?
There were, it wasn't so bad in Eastern Europe at all. But it really escalated for a while. And I think it's just because I'm a woman and like they think clothes or like it can. It's not that I've ever been some major thing, but I am someone that would like to like put on a lip or maybe like a paper bag, something before I'm ready. And so that's the only reason why paparazzi photographs have been unwelcome by me in the beginning, because I knew I looked like the dog's dinner. But now I'm like, oh, put on a mask, a sunglass, and like I'm all set. You can't,
right.
Like, hi, people, hi, fans, you'll see, like crazy. Now I'm totally like happy to see a paparazzi. But people are like, oh, she just calls the paparazzi. I'm like, no, I live in LA. I have a regular car. I go pick up a coffee. They wait. Everyone's got to make a buck. So, right. Around. Not me talking about the paparazzi. Like, I don't get paid for a paparazzi shot.
No, right. Of course not.
Now, when I asked the paparazzi, like, you guys take a lot of picture. How much do you guys get paid? They're like, for yours, not much. I'm like, great, but I gotta plug my computer in. One sec, it's running low.
No problem. Well, here, good. Doug, while we're letting her plug in her computer, can you tell us the story about you and Ron on set? Did you get my text about this? I want you to share that story. I don't want to ruin it because the end is the...
Oh, is this the one from Hellboy 1 where I couldn't see?
Yes.
Yes, Hellboy 1. Oh gosh, another favorite Guillermo moment of mine. And I of course, this was at near the beginning of Hellboy 1. Ron and I show up in the garbage truck. This is before Liz Sherman had rejoined the team. Yeah, I think you were still in the asylum at that point. And we were showing up at this museum where there had been an outbreak of demon activity. That's where I think Samael had done his dirty deeds. We were being met by the BBR team, and we had a long walk and talk down 2 hallways before we arrived at the scene, and that's where we saw Professor Broom. So this whole thing had to be choreographed. Walking a long hallway, making a left turn, walking another long hallway, then making a right turn to see Professor Broom on a staircase. I'm wearing goggles under that I'm looking through 2 little tear ducts, and my goggles are fogging up because it was freezing ass cold in there, right? So I was like, what little vision I had was foggy. So as long I had Ron's shoulder was right here in front of me, and as long as I knew that he was there, I was in the right spot if I could see that one shoulder close by. Well, our first take, we do the walk, and we'd walk through it, so I kind of had a feeling of how many steps each leg of the trip would be. And by the time we make that left turn and get to the staircase, on take 1, I ran into Ron's shoulder. And I thought, oh gosh, and the camera's still rolling, scene's still going, maybe no one saw. So I kind of put my hand on Ron's shoulder, but I thought I better lower my hand so the camera doesn't see that I'm feeling his back to see what angle he was at, so I could angle myself at the same angle because I was disoriented by now, couldn't see anything. And I think, okay, Ron's back is at this angle, so I think I'm looking, yeah, okay, I got it the right thing. And I'm feeling around on his back to make sure I got this right. Guillermo yells, "Cut!" And the entire crew busts out laughing. And then I was like, what's so funny? And Guillermo yelled from way back at the video village, he yelled, "Doug Jones, can we do one more take without you feeling up Ron's ass?" Well, apparently my hand was lower than I imagined, and he had that long leather coat on, and I couldn't. The camera was behind us, and so it caught the entire thing of me feeling around Ron's back side, like I was. Oh my gosh!
So, oh, that's a good. Okay, that's a good segue into, let's do some fan questions, shall we?
Okay.
Here we go. These are in no particular order. The first one is from Rhonda, and this is directed to both Selma and Doug. How would you describe your Hellboy character to someone who has never seen the film? Ooh, tough one. Thinking caps on.
I think Liz is, someone never seen that film. I'm a young woman who, if she feels anything, feels any rage, anything bursts into flames, I think that pretty much sets her up. I think that's all you need to know. I'm just kidding. But she's someone that really, it was kind of less is more, because anything would, incite some type of, igniting process. So she was kind of dimmed her shine a little, but she still had a certain drive, certain perspective that I like. But really, Abe is kind of the main attraction with Hellboy. So go ahead, Doug.
Well, no, Hellboy was the main attraction, and you were his love interest. Hello, that's another big point. Yeah. If I had to describe Abe, the obvious is he's a fish man mutant who might be a merman. You might call him, with a clairvoyant sort of a gift in his hands, where he can feel and see where you've been, where an item has been, what it was used for, yada yada yada. and is an addition to the BPRD team of freaks who have found their purpose. Boom.
Boom. Perfect. Mic drop, right?
And I'm a human freak. I'm just a regular, human freak. I don't have fish qualities.
Okay, our next question is directed to Selma. This is from Joe Hoffrica. Selma, what are your thoughts and memories of working with John Waters?
Hi, Joe Hoffrica. John Waters, I think John Waters, I think style. Again, like Guillermo, these are people that have such specific styles, and John Waters' personal aesthetic style is such a part of who he is in his films. So of course I think of John, and I think of the persona he's created that is so dapper and elegant and out there, and like homespun Baltimore. He's such such an elegant, amazing creature, and his movies, yeah, they totally gross me out. They so gross me out. His movies, they're so weird. But a favorite of my family, the Divine movies growing up, my sister Mimi loved it. And so I grew up just knowing people that really, really appreciate the John Waters experience. And so I do too. But my aesthetic is like, it's Tess of the D'Urbervilles. If I had my choice to do this career, it would definitely, I would really love to do some period pieces and really be informed by wardrobe and this and that. And John Waters does that too, but my experience was as Ursula Utters. So I just remember just being naked all the time while there was a big handsome guy gluing the biggest prosthetic breasts. And you think this would just take like an hour or two? No. It was like 6 hours of just this flatness going good, and like this guy like stippling and stippling and stippling. So I feel it, John Waters has now made it, I feel fine to be nude. Cause like I feel now with those boobs off, I am nude, and it's just like, it's such a relief after those boobs that now anything about my body is fine. He taught me self-acceptance. John Waters taught me self-acceptance by putting those huge udders on me.
So
forever.
Wow. That's an amazing answer. Okay.
That's an outcome I wasn't expecting.
Me too. I don't know why my brain just did all that. But it's true. It's just I never thought of it like that before. Glad we could come to this together today.
Me too.
All right. This is for both of you. This is from Sarah Ostrasevsky, and she wants to know, what was your first reaction when you read the script for the first Hellboy movie? And I'll interject on her question. Did either of you know about the comics ahead of time, or did you read them after you got the role as research? So what'd you think of the script, and then tie in the comic books to it?
I had not read the comic books. I was kind of I was actually cast after someone else was cast in the part. They had a short, muscly gymnastic fellow cast originally, and then someone suggested, as you would do, yeah.
Like I was a gymnastics fellow, but I couldn't do it.
You. Oh gosh, I'm sorry I took this from you. Then once the sculpture was done for Abe Sapien, it was like, oh geez, that looks more like Doug Jones. That came from within the creature shop. So then Guillermo, of course, I had worked with him on Mimic before that. So what was the question? We were talking about.
Had you heard of Hellboy in the comics and the Dark
Right, thank you. So when I got the call to come meet Guillermo again and meet the everybody at Spectral Motion, the creature shop, it was I was given a script and a stack of comic books to go home with and get and call Guillermo later that night by 11 o'clock. So I had my day planned for me. So that's when I took it in, and Guillermo had such a respect for the comics, for the source material, that the script really was beautifully paired up. And I did notice that Abe Sapien, though, did not, he was clairvoyant in the movies, but not in the comic books. He was just a really intelligent, smart, sidekick. But it was a nice, the movie should have its own flavor, and you can take some liberties with a feature film adaptation. But yeah, did that answer the question? Did I do?
Yes, you did. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I hadn't heard of Hellboy. Immediately, I remember my agent Nick Stein had called, and I had seen Guillermo's movie, and this is just me spacing right now. The Boys, what's it called? The Boys, the orphanage, the orphanage, the bomb, the Boys, his movie.
Oh,
I can't think of the name.
Devil's Backbone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had loved Devil's. I had known Guillermo from Devil's Backbone. That's the only movie I'd seen of his, but it was one of my favorites. So when my agent said, Guillermo's interested in you for this part, read this. Before even reading it, I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's one line, if the whole thing's all mine, if it's not, like, I didn't even have to read it. That was it. I said, please, please, please. And then I read it. And of course I was like, oh, this is so exciting to be a part of this. And of course the comics are also, were so beautiful, but it was Guillermo's. I'm not really I'm not good with like pictures and words together, like never have been. It's too much stimulus. So I have to see it in real formation, but it was incredible. He had seen me, I think, in storytelling and thought there was kind of a sadness depth that you could have without a lot of words, because Liz wasn't going to be some big giver in a big huge part in that way. So to have some kind of distant presence he just saw in me, so it was a real gift to just be given, and it was huge for me. It was huge for me, and it still is.
Yeah. Can I add something about the Mike Mignola, the creator of the comic books, artist and the writing? He was on set with us for Hellboy 1 for a lot of it. And yeah. I was in the hotel one day having breakfast, and he came walking up to me and said, Doug? I never met him, didn't know who he was. I'm like, yes. He goes, I'm Mike Mignola, the creator of the comic books. I'm like, oh, hi. Yeah. And then, so I said, I have a question for you. He says, Bet, before you even ask, I have no idea where Abe Sapien came from. Because he knew I wanted to ask, what's the backstory? Why a fish man? Why? He had no idea. He just thought it was really cool. And so he wrote it and drew it. Boom.
And it's, look, one of our favorite characters. It's perfect. Again, we have a segue question that's just so perfect. You guys are doing half my job for me. Selma, going back to you, Catherine Delaire wants to know, what quality of yours, Selma, aligns best with the character of Liz?
At the time where I was in my life, I think really all of me really did. I wish I had the real agency of myself to be able to feel I could take even more liberties. Not that there had to be more done, but I just, maybe just in hindsight, you go, oh, this is what I could have brought. But it really was just kind of me frozen and loving and distrusting the world around me, which was where I was anyhow. And Hellboy was such a natural fit to me. On film, I never really am someone that had a boyfriend on film. I've never played the girl next door that was sunny. I've never played someone that played out a healthy relationship or something relatable, or even, so it just made total sense that the one movie that I was kind of a leading lady, that it was to a beast man, another worldly, and our gang was kind of outliers, to say the least. And that felt totally at home for me.
Thank you, Selma. So here, before we get to the next question, we do something fun on InHouse-CON, and it's literally just for fun. We're going to do a little poll. This is for all of our viewers as well as our guests to play along. My tech guy, Tyler, is going to throw up a question on the screen right now. Which Hellboy film is your personal favorite? Hellboy, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, both are equally awesome. So everyone can submit in that. I'm going to ask another question to our panelists, and then we'll find out what the results are. So our next question is from, and forgive me if I screw up the name, guys. I never do this on purpose. It's Mignola Boots. And Mignola wants to know, is a hot dog a sandwich?
A glizzy. My son calls a hot dog a glizzy. Do any of you guys know that? That's like a new term for a hot dog. It's a glizzy. Or I think it's also a private part you'd call a glizzy that looks like a hot dog. Very the boys.
I've never heard glizzy before. Maybe I shouldn't be saying it.
I never think of a glizzy as a sandwich. I never think of a hot dog as a sandwich, but people say it is. What do the Chicago people say? Do you guys know? Because they're kind of the authority.
Yeah, they're kind of right. But yeah, it's something in bread. If you do a bun with a hot dog, so
I'll tell you what's in bread. Okay. Me. Get it?
It's in bread.
God, I'm so corny. I can't.
Child.
I put this lipstick on so severely, so it's so funny. I feel like I'm like one of those puppets, like from Laughing or something. When I
or you're a Disney villain.
Yeah, because I made the bow like too far apart. It's hysterical what you can do by accident with lips.
Right. Yeah.
How it changes things. I'm like very Lucille Ball right now, and I can't change the expression. Sorry. Hot dog. It's not a sandwich. I don't care. It's its own specific thing.
It's a different shape. It doesn't have a sandwich shape to it, so it doesn't feel like a sandwich, does it? Yeah.
Okay, not a sandwich. Good. Okay. April would like to know, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
I always used to think I wanted to fly, but I think being invisible, I'd love to be able to turn that on and listen in on conversations that they don't know I'm there. That'd be kind of fun.
Okay. Superpower. I don't know. Like, I don't ask for a lot. Like, I like whiter teeth. Like, that's enough of a superpower for me. Like, I'm really thinking small. Like, I used to think like flying for sure. Like, who wouldn't want to? And now I'm like terrified. I'm like, oh my God, I'll get lost. Like, I just think about the practicalities of flying and like how messed up that could go. So yeah, yeah, fast. I want to be a fast runner, like the fastest. I want to be Selma Bolt.
Like the Flash.
Yeah, but me.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, it's been done, but like whatever.
Oh, I love it, Selma Bolt. That'll be your new nickname. It'll be fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question. Tyler, let's see what the results to that poll are. Okay, both are equally awesome as the winner. Okay.
Nice crowd you guys are. We're all here for love. Look at how nice this is. If you go on other places on the internet, they'd be like, fuck you guys.
Right, Hellboy sucks.
Like, no, people don't really do it about Hellboy, but it's so refreshing to be on a computer, and I'm like, those are the choices. They're all nice.
Yeah, no.
Like, there's always the snarky choice.
Yeah.
I like how I turn this into like a weird negative thing. Keep going.
Yeah, this is nice internet day. Totally.
Our next question is for both of you, and it is from Paige. And she would like to know, from either of the Hellboy movies, do you have a specific favorite scene and why?
I think when Doug was experiencing some Tecate, like, it was just nice. I got to do my favorite thing in the scene where Abe and Hellboy are bonding over the loss of Lady Loves, and I got to do my favorite. I got to like sleep in the bed. That's my jam. Like, I'm always. So I got to do that a few times in Hellboy, like, because I get to be dead. Although you can see my head switch in like a couple frames, because Guillermo said, no, you're a gorilla smoking a cigar, who cares, Salmita, because he really didn't think I'd be in the shot, which is so unlike him because he's on everything. But then I saw it in the theater and I was like, oh, I think her head moved. But yeah, but that scene where you guys are experiencing is a bonding bro time, and I got to be like asleep, so I was like in the scene but not. Kind of like being invisible, you know. It feels good.
That whole sequence is my favorite thing. Well, aside from the moment we just talked about in Hellboy 1, where you, Selma, and I had our moment at the glass of my healing tank. I just adore that moment. But in Hellboy 2, the Abe drinking for the first time at Hellboy's behest, and starting to sing along with Barry Manilow, and then takes us into his chambers where the drunkenness and the girl talk continues. And now can I tell my story from that scene that I love, of my other not being able to see very well scene? And this also involves Selma. She, so, as you're asleep on the bed doing your favorite thing, Ron and I are talking about women and how we get it wrong and whatever, and drunken talk, and then all of a sudden the alarms go off in the BPRD, and I knew immediately that the princess Mignola, who we were keeping in safekeeping, was in peril. So I had to say the princess and kind of walk around the edge of the bed looking up where the sirens were coming from, and to get around the bed. And again, I can see like this, basically. So I can't see down here. I can only see where my head is aiming. Well, so I had to rehearse that a couple times so I could get, and so instead of putting a piece of tape on the floor so I knew where my stopping point was to finally get around the edge of the bed and stop, they put a sandbag down there so I could feel it with my foot. So take one, action, and bram, 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 bram. Oh, I walk here. I go around the edge of the bed and I hit the sandbag, but it felt like it was a little bit before it was supposed to be. So I stopped there anyway. And then I looked up and said, the princess. And my foot kept feeling around the floor like, wait, where did my sandbag go? Maybe I'm not on the right spot. I don't feel it anymore. Where'd the sandbag go? Guillermo yells, cut! And the entire crew starts laughing again. And I said, what was that, my sandbag? Where did it go? Selma sits up in bed and says, well, no, that was not. That was one of Hellboy's cats you just kicked across the floor.
Sweet dog.
There were like 50 cats in the room. And they found these
of cats.
They found these mangy little strays from Budapest. I don't know who supplied the cats, but
oh my god! And I got all aggro about it. It was so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, are they treated well? And they were, but like it was a lot of cats. A lot of cats. You did. You kicked the cat, but happens.
I didn't mean to kick the kitty. I didn't mean to, and it lived. Everything's fine.
So our next question is from Mike, and this is directed to Selma. Legally Blonde is currently trending on Netflix in Canada right now. Could you share your favorite memory from that film?
I think really it was the classroom stuff, just getting to like pull faces and stuff and have Vivian be so confident. It was just like a really fun character to live in. But really, I think probably the scene, it's a short scene, but where Vivian has a bonding moment with Al in the dormitory, and it's just sweet. I really don't have any scenes with Reese ever, and we were friends, and I kind of idolize her, and so to actually be on this, like actually speak words to each other. I don't get to speak a lot in films. I think people were on to me. It wasn't my thing. So it was really nice to have that. I really, just to get to be with Reese in something and speak lines as like friends. Yeah, I loved it.
Okay. Our next question is from Robert, Maxton, and Spencer, and this is directed to both of you. Which is harder, creating a new character or doing a sequel years later and bringing the same character to the screen in a consistent manner? Ooh, that's a tough one.
I don't know. For me, it was, I think coming up with it, creating the character from the ground up for the first movie was a bit more difficult for me. For somehow, I don't know about you, Selma, but our sequel was what, 4 years later? I think, yeah. That's a big gap between sequel, between movies. I think we all just felt, I felt like we all fell right back into it as though no time had passed. So once I had established Abe, I knew him when I came back to him right away.
Right. I mean, the work that the other characters did in the Hellboy movies, it was so much more kind of extensive than what I had to showcase. And I don't mean that in any negative way. Like, so I come from a different thing. But Liz was actually, the Hellboy 2 was growing up for me, because Liz was really kind of like an adolescent mentality in a way, even if she wasn't in Hellboy 1. You know, she was kind of a withdrawn adolescent mentality of where she had left off kind of being a normal person at last. And so the second one, knowing that she was pregnant and that she was becoming a woman, and it was really hard for me. I mean, Liz is never a hard role, but because she was because she was a kid in the first one in a way. So it was different, even though she wasn't really, but that was the innocence of her trauma. And she had to let go of that and assume a different role. And then where I thought I knew Hellboy 3 was going, I was anticipating that kind of shift coming in her. So it was all kind of just this, it was a nervous, I didn't know how to be Liz in a way growing up and taking responsibility, but then again, neither would she. Like Jeffrey Tambor just had to say that to me one time when I really was having problems with really simple lines, and Guillermo was trying to really bring out just how agitated and how protective I was of Hellboy, but I still had that thing in me, like, no, if I work up, I'm gonna burst into flames. Like, I don't know how to do this and also have a bigger agency of myself. So I did get kind of stuck, and maybe, you know, if I knew how to process that better, because it was just so close to me, because I felt I knew Liz. So I would have maybe made, I don't know if I really gave what Guillermo really wanted, because you don't know what they can add later, like if it's okay that I'm in flames or something. And I didn't know, I never wanted to take enough time to really ask Guillermo, is that okay? Like, I just wanted to be so respectful of everyone else, because they had to endure so much more in the day, that, you know, sometimes I didn't give Liz like her own real space. And now as a grown woman, I would know to really give her like just a little more presence from a gut, but still not unhappy with any of it. It was kind of where my character was, and it's okay. But it was a little bit of a trip for me.
You know, Selma, I remember a moment, what you're talking about. I think it was when you and I, we met in the hallway afterwards, and we connived to steal a plane and get Hellboy to help.
Exactly. I was so frustrated. I was frozen. I didn't know what to do.
Right, and the scene before that, when you were butting heads with Jeffrey Tambor's character, and I came in the room, and I remember watching, because I entered the scene later, but I remember Guillermo, between takes, he did this little thing with you. Do you remember this? He was
moving my body, like
against you.
Wanted me to be able to push out.
He wanted you to get some resistance.
To be able to know that feeling, but I wouldn't give myself permission. I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And now I process this. I mean, after that day was done, I felt that was my biggest violation of Liz, but it was also very Liz, because she also really wasn't going to be ready to come into her own until she met the Angel of Darkness, like, you know, until she met you. So sometimes when your instinct tells you something and someone's trying to get something, it might be because it's not there yet also. And Liz was kind of a little bit of a frozen, you know, two-dimensional in a way. But that day, whenever I come up against an obstacle in my life, I think of that moment too with Guillermo, and how he was so trying to support me and indicate to me what was happening. And I didn't take advantage of it. And I'll always think of that. But it set in me for life. Like, you know, like, let yourself go for a second, like really have an explosion without an explosion.
But watching that scene back, Selma, it works. It totally, you found it.
It's very restrained, but, you know, live and learn, or not, you know.
Well, guys, believe it or not, we are at the end of our time. I cannot thank the fans enough for sending in all these great questions and joining us today. My tech guy, Tyler, right now is going to throw up a link in the chat room. This is for anybody who wants a last-minute autograph that didn't get a chance to buy one. One of the pictures that we're doing as an exclusive, I'm flashing on the screen now. This is actually a photo that I personally took at the premiere of Hellboy 2 in Monterrey, Mexico. This picture has never seen the light of day. It's from my personal collection, and we're putting it up to have both Doug and Selma sign, as well as this one as well. This is an exclusive one that we have available. No pressure, you know, it's there if anybody needs it. I need to thank everyone who joined in. Cool Waters Productions is a small family-run business, and we have a term here in America, for those of you watching from overseas, that small business is the backbone of America. And you guys tuning in today and supporting my company and my clients has made it a small business available to survive in COVID-19, because we have been struck so hard, my family and I, by this. So I can't thank you all enough. And with that said, I cannot thank you, Selma, and you, Doug, enough for being part of this today. So thank you so, so much. I'm going to lead the goodbyes with ladies first. Selma, your goodbyes, please.
I mean, gosh, thank you so much. This was a great morning. I wish I could see the fans of Doug, of Guillermo's, of mine, of all of ours. This has been, every time I come to spend any time with you and Doug and Derek, it means so much to me, and to get to be any part in these movies, I will always hold it really dear. Thank you for, spending some time with me.
Thank you, Selma. We love you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Doug, your goodbyes, please.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in today. Yes, the Hellboy franchise was a life-changing moment in my career, and it carries through. And thank you for keeping it alive like this, all of you, with your keeping us on your shelves in your DVD collection, watching us when we're on TV, and tuning in and coming out to see us at conventions, and this virtual one. That means, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have a career. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for that.
Thank you so much, Dougie. Love to you. Bye-bye. All right, guys, that is the end of our show. I have to thank again my tech guy, Tyler. Without him, this wouldn't be possible. I have to say happy birthday again to my amazing mom, and to all of our sponsors and everything. We need to get on to our live chat, so I'm going to go right to the credits now. Remember, guys, this isn't a movie theater. Our credits are real short. Stick around and watch them, okay? I hope to see you all again soon at another In-House Con. Stay safe. Bye-bye now.
We'll be right back.